£1 yesterday. That's not charity, right? You have to give enough amount of wealth for these poor people. But I'm agreeing with you completely. If you're talking about destroying the environment while gaining the money, we say that's completely wrong. But I'm saying if someone is working, consider this example. If someone is working, he's not destroying the environment, he's not causing pain to anyone else, he enjoys what he does as work, and he's not in shortcoming when it comes to his family. So he's not on the expense of his family, he's working. No, he's just working and he's taking care of his family, right? And he makes good amount of money, perhaps more than another person. I personally wouldn't find a problem with that, right? I'd say, okay, you can make money because
I do have
yeah.
Because I come out.
By the way, we're Muslims.
Yeah.
Can we ask what you believe? What's your background, respectfully?
I'm agnostic.
Okay.
No, but I'm
Same for your son?
He's honest.
Mr. Agnostic, not atheist.
Okay.
Agnostic. Sorry.
Okay.
I grew up as a Christian, and I agree with some values of Christian. I agree with a lot of values of Islam, but I'm not. I have a lot of students. They're Muslims, probably the half or even three or four. So I know their families. I value that a lot. But I'm not really into. I were all the time I was into just defining life for myself. I see your point, and I see points of others, and I just want to have a good life together with other people. That's why I'm thinking that maybe
100%. What you're saying, what you're describing today, what you're describing right now is humanism, right? She's living a good life, and that's what you describe, right? But I think his question is more about is the purpose, the objective purpose for existence of human beings. Like we believe there's two types of purposes, right? A subjective purpose for life, which is you can have your subjective purpose. You want to be a doctor, you want to be a pilot. That's your subjective purpose, right? Then there is an objective purpose of why the Creator, if we believe in the Creator, obviously, the Creator have created the creation. For example, the bag that you have with you, right? The manufacturer, the maker, what did he do? He ascribed purpose to it, right? The phone, why does it work in that way? Because the maker and the manufacturer decided that this will be the purpose of the phone. So whatever you make, you give purpose to. So we believe we are created by a higher entity or a higher being. We don't believe he's a man or a woman. We don't believe God is a human being like us. We don't believe he died by his creation. No, you don't believe that, right? So we believe that Allah ascribes the objective purpose for us because he's the one who created us. Therefore there is an objective collective purpose for humanity. So I believe that's what he was asking about. The initial question.
I could agree with that. But I never agreed. I don't know why. But
Tell me,
that somebody could tell that for all the people. Because if you have a look at the Bible and if you read it, so
is it okay? I'm sorry to stop you. Would you say somebody? Do you mean a human being?
Like also a prophet or whatever.
No, not a prophet or a human being.
Not your prophet.
No. Even the prophet is not the one who tells us what to do. The prophet is just.
We believe to be. Sorry,
it's just
the one, for example, because we can use the scientific argument to say that the universe is space, time, and matter, right? So
but that's a separate topic, Akhi. The point we're making is that the prophet. Yeah, we're saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing. The prophets are not. I'll tell you why I stopped at that. Because we agree with you. We're not saying that a human being is the one who dictates to us what to do. We don't believe that. Right? The Quran says about Prophet Muhammed, he says, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. He does not speak of his own. So only revelation revealed to him. The Prophet, he says, I'm nothing but a human like you. The difference is that God is revealing to me the moral aspects of life, purpose of life, and guidance for human beings on what to do. So we completely agree with you. No human being should have a superiority over the other human being just by himself to dictate to them what to do. But the Creator can tell us what to do. Why? Because the person who made the phone, let's come back to the example of the phone, he gave us a manual with the phone. Why? He's the one who made it. He knows every little specific detail of the phone. He knows what is good to do with the phone and what is not good to do with the phone. If you come across an issue with the phone, you go back to the manual. Okay, this is how you solve the issue, right? Allah gives us a manual for our existence as well as human beings, because we're not perfect. We don't know every moral good things and morally bad things in life. We don't know everything, right? So Allah sends prophets what to do, to be an intermediate, to give us the message. That's their job, right? To give the human beings the message. We don't worship them. We don't call upon them. We don't do these things, right? We worship the Creator alone. It's the essence of Islam. essence of Islam is monotheism alone to the Creator. Worship to God alone, seeking help from the Creator alone, right? That is the basic core message of Islam. So if you say like that a person should dictate to us, a human being like us, we say no, absolutely not. But God can tell us why. God, when we know God has attributes, right? We believe Allah is Al-Hakim, the All-Wise. We believe Allah is Al-Alim, the All-Knowledgeable, right? We believe Allah is the All-Merciful, the All-Just, right? These are attributes that Allah has, and we don't have them. We have limited knowledge. We have limited eyesight. We have limited intellect, right? Everything we have as humans is limited. Therefore, if there is like is your son, right? When you tell him to do something good, he does it based that you have more experience, more wisdom in life than him, right? So he takes what you tell him to do, he does it based on that, correct? The Creator has the ultimate wisdom and knowledge and experience, right? So if he tells us to do something, we follow it based on that, right?
How does he reach you?
It's a good question. Very good question. That's why we come back to the point of prophets, right? Prophethood. Prophets are the ones who come to connect humans with the Creator. The difference between us and prophets is the following. They get revelation from God, and the Creator tells them to deliver the revelation they got from the Creator, right? Not only that, they have evidence to prove they're prophets of God. So if I just tell you I'm a prophet right now, follow me, you say, what's the evidence that you're a prophet, right? You can say that, he can say that, everyone can say that, right? But if I produce to you something miraculous, something that other human beings cannot produce, that you know must be from a divine entity, then you accept the claim I'm making and you go with me, right? Correct? Do you agree? So that's how we follow things. Prophet Muhammad brought evidence to prove he's a prophet of God. We believe in the previous prophets as well. Jesus, Moses, Noah, Abraham. We believe they're all prophets of God. But their evidence was restricted to their people. For example, I'm sure you know about this. Jesus was raising the dead and healing the sick and the blind. That's what the Bible says, right? So that was an empirical evidence. Empirical, the five senses, the eyes and the hearing and the sight. Something that you can see only if you're at that time. Today, if I tell you believe in Jesus because he healed the sick and the blind, you say I haven't seen it, right? And I say that's a valid point. I cannot force you to believe in something that happened in the past, right? By necessity, especially if it's a miraculous act, right? But Muslims have evidence that you can view today, can look at today, objective. When you look at, you come to the conclusion that Prophet Muhammad was a prophet.
Could you explain me one?
Sorry?
Could you explain me one? Just to give an example.
Yeah, sure. There is types of evidence. There is types of evidence, and within the types there is evidences within all of these types, right? Like for example, we have predictions of the future. Do you agree with me that human beings do not know the absolute future? Would not be able to tell what's going to happen in the future correctly every time, clearly. Would anyone be able to do that? I want to.
Google can tell you what happens in just
in the future.
Quite accurate calculate what happens in future.
Yes.
So that's quite
calculate mathematically. You mean mathematically?
Huh?
Calculate in what way? Because our human behavior is not something that you can calculate because it's not consistent, right? Like mathematics.
It's consistent enough.
Okay.
And that's quite scary. I know.
Okay. So can you give me a prediction in your mind of something that we're consistent upon? Are you saying, looking at the environment, looking at the society, and then coming to a probable conclusion of what these people might do? That's what you're saying, right? We don't mean that by prediction of the future. What we mean is absolute knowledge of what's going to take place. Not a maybe yes, maybe no, that maybe it will happen, one of the things you said happened, one of the things you said didn't happen. No. We're saying everything you said must take place. Must actualize, right? Because if I'm getting it from the Creator, He absolutely knows what's going to take place. So if He says X is going to happen, it has to happen, right? If it doesn't happen, it's proof that you will not get a revelation from God.
So
right?
Do you mean then it depends on how many prophecies you do?
Okay, I'll give you my criteria and you tell me.
You do 100 prophecies, 10% true then?
Sure. That's a good point. We have I don't know. We have few criteria for the predictions, right? First criteria is predictions are not self-fulfilling, which means self-fulfilling, which means I say this is going to drop on the floor, then I drop it. And I say, look, I predicted this is going to drop on the floor. That's the self-fulfilling. You made it yourself. You self-fulfilled the prediction. We don't agree with any predictions like that, right? Okay, self-fulfilling predictions we don't accept. Ambiguous, unclear contradictions. We don't agree with predictions. Like Nostradamus when he said the red lion is going to defeat the X on the mountain, right? And then we saw a battle. Some people were wearing red. They said that's what he predicted. Right? It's very vague. You can't apply it to anything in life, right? It has to be specific. It has to be clear, right? It has to be numerous. Many predictions, which is what you were saying. It has to be tens of predictions, for example. Number of predictions.
None
of them can be false.
But an example for that?
I'll give you an example, 100%. I will 100% give you. Come to the example. I'm putting the criteria. Yeah, exactly. I'm setting the criteria and saying if you agree or you disagree, right? Then the last prediction is that the person himself is known to be truthful and honest with his community. He's not a person who's known to be evil or bad, etc. Right? These are our criteria for someone predicting the future. Right? Do you agree they're objective, they're fair, they're okay? Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's move on now to some of the predictions of the Prophet ﷺ. By the way, that's just one type of evidence, right? Islam has other types. But I'm just giving you one type of evidence, objective evidence, to prove, which is enough, I believe. One type of evidence is enough, right? Prophet Muhammad said that you will see the barefoot Bedouin Arabs competing. So now he specified the people. Bedouins are people who live in the desert, they have tents and things like that. He said the Bedouin Arabs, because not all Arabs are Bedouin, he said the Bedouin Arabs will be competing in building the tallest buildings.
The tallest building,
everyone trying to build a building taller than the other one. What is the tallest building? By the way, he said that 1,400 years ago. We have that recorded, carbon date, the 1st century, 2nd century of Islam, right? So definitely he said that a long time ago, right? Over 1,300, 400 years ago. So where is the tallest building today in the world?
Yeah, of course.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. Okay.
Why is that?
You could argue that
Burj Khalifa, yeah.
For example, attempting to make us build these tall buildings. However, he was a humble person.
We'll come 100%. Step by step. So what we say, because I've not finished the contradiction, is more to it, right? Some people stop there, I don't stop there. There is more to it as well, right? So now, the Arabs at that time, they used to hide from the heat. They built buildings in the floor, right? They were not known to build tall buildings. They were not people of civilization. That's what Bedouins are, right? People who don't live in the desert without any civilization, right? We had the Roman and Persian Empire. They were people known of civilizations and structures. If the Prophet, you wanted just to make a guess, he would say, which is what you were saying, looking at the population, looking at the people and predicting something, he would say the Bedouins, the Romans and the Persians would be competing, because they're known to build tall buildings and everything, right? But he didn't. He said these Arabs barefoot. Look at his description. He said barefoot. They walk in barefoot. They don't have even shoes, and they're walking in the desert. These people you're seeing, they will be building the tallest buildings, right? So not only that, why are they able to build tall buildings? What gave them the capacity to be able to build these tall buildings?
Money, the capital.
Thank you. Yeah, they found oil, right?
Yeah, of course.
Found oil.
But I just
yeah. So 50 years ago, Dubai was a desert. There was no buildings or no civilization. They didn't find oil yet. When they discovered oil, they changed to the Dubai that we know today, right? Now, the Prophet, he said, the earth will puke its treasures. So he didn't only say that they will be competing in building tall buildings, but he said the earth will extract, will give out. Puke means like puking, right? It will extract its treasures, right? He didn't stop there. He said, يَكْثُرُ فِيكُمُ الْمَالُ وَيَفِيدُ. He said that money will become abundant within you. So he didn't only tell them what they will be doing, which people will be doing it, and the action they will be doing. He also said that why they will be able to do it, right? Which then these are all criteria that makes you know for sure that he's not just making a prediction of the future. Why?
That's actually pretty cool. I will read that.
I'll give you more predictions. I'll give you more predictions differently. I'll give you also references as well. So,
do you have the time for me?
Yeah, that'll be 5:11.
5:11, yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So no problem.
Because we have to reach the train.
Yeah, that's right, no problem. Whenever you have to go, tell me you have to go, right? So, another thing is that the oil, I'm adding more to the same prediction. The oil was not of value until the discovery of technology that we have today. It was just the Arabs, when they found it, just some black things coming from the floor, right? It was not really of value used as energy as it is used today until we have all of this equipment and technology that we have today, right? So, that is another layer of the prediction, right? Another prediction, Prophet ﷺ, he said that this land of the Arabs will return again. Rivers, meadows and rivers and gardens. Now he said that 1,400 years ago. He said that they will return. What does it mean if he says they will return?
I think it's just like they're watering the whole desert to destroy the environment, I think.
But when he says it was before,
okay.
He will return. If something returns, then it existed before and then it will come back. So he says, when he says it will return, he's telling his people that it was before. They were living in a desert, they don't know about the past, right? But he's not just telling them about the future, he's also telling them about the past. He says that in the future, it will be like the past. It will come to be in rivers again and meadows. Now let me show you some of the what NASA says and what Nature magazine says about the deserts of Arabia in the past, right?
It used to be woods.
So and
oceans.
Yeah, this is the natural cycle.
okay, so revealing the grain past of Arabia. Yeah. Now, when you look here, do you know what they say? They're giving us 10,000 ancient lakes. They're saying 5,000 years ago or more. These are fossils. We're going to talk about them. They say there was 10,000 ancient lakes back, right? They discovered 10,000. How? Through satellites. Using satellites.
Can I ask you after that
Of
another
course.
question?
Yeah, 100% you
So,
can.
if somebody proves that well,
Yes.
does he have too much power then?
Sorry?
Yeah.
You mean
If
if he predicted
somebody
the future?
proves to you,
Yeah.
he's right.
Yes.
So
He's a
that
prophet of
you
God,
get,
you mean?
So you get a believer then.
Yes.
Because he's right.
Yeah, you get to accept his claim.
Does this person have too much power then?
Good
over
question.
People?
Good question.
Or no?
Let me answer that.
You have to trust him.
A good question. Let me answer
You
that.
give me an answer for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you an answer. No problem. No, I'll give you an objective answer. Because the prophet existed at one time, right? And he brought evidences that he's a prophet of God. So we can look at his life to know how he behaved when he had the authority that you're referring to, right? The Prophet ﷺ, Aisha, which is his wife, she said that there used to be 3 moons, 3 months. They go past by in the house. We have no food except water and dates. He had control over Medina, he had control over Mecca, everyone was under him as the Prophet of God, as the leader. And 3 months he just eats dates and water. The Prophet died and his shield was with someone that he rented it with. He gave it to someone and he took money from him. Yeah. So he wasn't even with him. He died and he has his rent somewhere else. He died without anything. That's the Prophet that we believe in. The people, when they entered on the Prophet ﷺ, they used to ask, where is the Prophet? Because he's sitting down, he looks exactly like the people sitting down. He has no clothes, he's not sitting. He said, where is Muhammad? Where is the Prophet ﷺ? Then the companions, they say, is this one. Right? So people could not even know or recognize the Prophet ﷺ from the other common folk. That's how he lived his life, right? So the Prophet ﷺ, he had the authority, but he was a prophet of God. And God chose him for that reason, because he knows how he will behave with the people, with the community. Now, the Prophet ﷺ said, "La tutruni, do not overpraise me." Like the Christians overpraised Jesus and they elevated him to be God. So the Prophet commands us not to overpraise him. The Prophet, he says, do not say I'm better than Yunus. Yeah, do not say I'm better than him. Do not say I'm better than Moses. So he's saying, do not make me better than other people. Do not elevate me in status. Right? So we as Muslims, we believe the honoring of the Prophet is him in the place that Allah put him in.
Yeah.
Not to elevate him more and not to degrade him less.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we believe. And that's how the Prophet behaved. Right? With his people.
That's what I like about Islam.
Yes.
Really a lot.
Yes.
Because it's more equal.
Yes.
Jesus got institutionalized to overpower people. I know that. So
You know,
Used as a colonialistic purpose, let's preach Christianity to the rest.
You find this as well in Muslim communities,
for sure.
but it's not the idea.
Exactly. It's not Islam. It's not Islam. It's the Muslims. Some Muslims. Yes,
I
exactly.
don't defend the
I
Muslims,
agree
I
with you.
defend Islam.
Power is an idea other people, like women or like people with another color, another race.
Yes.
Then it's bad. So you have to.
I agree with you, 100%.
I think it doesn't matter if you have the Bible or Quran. For me, you find a lot of good ideas how you can live together.
That's exactly the point that I wanted to deal with, by the way, 100%. But I agree with you. We don't disagree with you. But there is a bit of nuance to it, right? There's a caveat that I want to add in, right? But first, I want to talk about the idea of knowing there's a creator or not, right? We believe the idea is inherent. Inherent means it's already within you, right? No one have introduced or put it within you, but you're already, when you're born, innately, you know that there is something higher than yourself. So we believe. And there is social science done on that. Like Oxford University conducted a study, 57 academics, they on children from countries, atheistic countries like China and Japan, and they said they have an innate receptivity to the divine. They believe in something higher than themselves. They're born like that, this way, right? When they're getting old, their society changes that idea, but they're born innately knowing that there is something higher than themselves.
To believe in
Did it's knowledge for me. It's like you know how everything works together. You know that in yourself.
At least agree to
Like,
that.
you don't eat 500 grams meat a day when you know how it works.
Yes.
Or you don't spend your money in buying a Lamborghini when you know how it works. You don't. It's not your hobby going to for shopping into Harrods or wherever. When you know how it works together.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You don't buy too much. You don't. You're not bad for the people. You're not bad. You don't harm nature or animals or whatever. If you can do that, you just have to have a life.
100%. I agree with you. I agree with you completely. But I know the point I want to make is this, right? Is if it's innate to believe
it's hard to discuss if you already know what we're speaking about, right?
It is, yeah. It is. I don't get. What do you mean by that?
Huh?
No, tell me what you mean. Maybe
just go on.
Okay, no problem. No, I understand what I mean by saying I understand you. I understand what you're saying is that you want humans to live a good life. It's not necessarily the scripture that you follow or the God that you believe in, right? This is what you're saying. I get your point. I understand your point, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that there is a bit of a caveat that I want to add in, right? Which is this, right? Which is the question that I was going to ask you before going to.
So you are a community together then?
We're all Muslims.
Yeah, of course.
I never met him. I never met him in my life. We believe in Islam.
Everyone come in.
I did want to know if
But we're Muslims.
We believe in Islam, that Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ. Verily the believers are brothers. So they're my brothers, without meeting them any day, right? That's what we believe. So we believe, So that's the Islamic point of view, right? Now, the point I want to add is this. When you say, let's do good, right? Or let's avoid bad things. Good and bad are subjective terms, right? How do you determine, you personally, what is good and what is bad?
It depends. That's the point that you mean. If you have an idea of what is good or what is bad, that's 50 years old, and you don't know something about climate change or climate justice or whatever, and you don't think further, and you just do it like you know.
But
then I think that's the problem. So that's it's hard to say what's good or what's bad, but as long human says or interprets like a holy book, whichever it is, as long human interprets that, and they have the wrong idea about it, because today we know more than 50 years ago. But in fact, we did know already 50 years ago, 1970, we could calculate what happens today with nature. We did Clock of Rome.
Do you have an example? Do you have an example?
Accurate, an estimate.
No.
Do you have an?
It's incredible. Read Clock of Rome. I think I don't know if the title in English is The End of Growth.
Okay.
And
do you have an example?
They have curves. You can see that.
Do you have an example in your mind?
Yeah, that's an example. Clock of Rome, 1970. Clock of Rome.
Like this?
Yeah. Clock of Rome. No, Clock. C-L-U-B. Clock of Rome.
Okay. The Quran.
And they did already. Just read it.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting because if you have people they don't believe in climate change 50 years ago, and they just tell all the people all the time, nothing happens, just live like you know, you have to live good. And you don't, if an idea can't develop in time, then I think it's a problem. I don't see this with you, because you're open-minded. I think you're
try to be.
Yeah, you're
try to be.
That's cool. So, but there are a lot of people that just use this idea to have status quo. You know, it's the same thing in Christianity or wherever. If people misuses an idea to have status quo, I think that's a problem. If we do together what we do now, that's a good thing. Because maybe you go at home and you see a Club of Rome there. What this Swiss science teacher told me, it's a good idea. So I go at home and I prove the evidence. You
of course, 100%.
That's a cool thing, and that makes development possible.
100%. You know, I have just 2 points on what you said. I don't disagree with you, absolutely. We believe science is a useful instrument, right? We believe it's a useful instrument, but we're not scientific realists. We don't believe science leads you to truth, because science is everyday changing, because it's based on induction.
Science is not good at all.
Okay, okay, you're a scientist, but you're a scientist. Okay, so
that's honorable, honestly.
Okay.
No, scientific is interesting.
Okay.
It's an interesting view to the
Sure.
world.
Okay.
But
Okay. But yeah.
how you use it. It depends. It depends. It's like scientific. Science is like religion. It depends on the people who does that. If you
use eugenics.
I invent another plastic thing that destroys the world in 20 years. So then.
Can I ask you a question on that? I had two questions, right? The first one was that science or studying empirical reality, which you were describing, like the universe, has no relationship. Empirical reality is just the five senses, right? The smelling, the touching, the seeing. I'm saying these things we can touch and we can smell, etc. They don't have a relationship with morality, because morality is a metaphysical concept. It's not a physical concept. So I'm saying, right, how do you determine what is metaphysically, morally correct, right or wrong? And that cannot be through the scientific method. It cannot be, because it's an empirical, physical method, right? So I'm saying, how do we determine that? Like, for example, the second question was this. When you say climate change is a bad thing, I'll tell you why it's a bad thing.
Yeah, it depends a bit. I agree with you.
You get the point I'm trying to make.
Maybe it's not a point if human extinct or not. Yeah,
someone might believe that. Someone might believe that. Yeah?
Maybe that's just the idea
yes.
Allah or God had for us. Like you have your 2,000 years, you build your highest building, and that's pretty cool. And then you go and we have another like.
We believe as Muslims that we're created. The purpose of us in this life is to be tested. Examination, test. Yeah.
So, and how many tests we need?
I'll tell you. It's just one test. It's only one test. Yeah. A test that is one test. Why is this life limited? 60 years, 70 years, wherever you live, 20 years, 30 years. It's limited because we believe. That's what we believe. I'm just saying what we believe as Muslims. Yeah. We believe it's limited because that is the test of the Creator. All tests have to be limited, or they'll never end. Right? They have to have a starting and ending point. Right? So Islam. Allah created us in this world to test us. He said to us that we will be His representatives in this earth, from what sense that we will apply His laws, moral laws, and we will apply His commandments, right? That's the test. Whether you will apply God's moral rules, do the good that God says is good, and avoid the evil that God said is evil because He's most wise, most knowledgeable, or you would choose to go against God's commands and cause corruption and cause harm and cause pain in the world. That's the test that you live in. That test will end when you die. It's just one test. Whether you choose your desires or you choose the Creator. Choose what you like to do, or you choose what God told you is good, which is good for you and good for your society. That's the test of this life. Therefore, we're not really concerned whether the world is going to end or it's not going to end. That doesn't mean we should harm the environment. It's two separate things, right? We don't believe we should harm the environment, but we know that it's inevitable that one day will come and this world is going to end, right?
Yeah.
So but let's say we believed, or someone believes it's a bad thing. My question will be, why is it bad? He will have to give me subjective ideas and his understanding why he believes it's bad.
I think that's just a personal view, like
subjective thing.
Yeah.
But that's an issue.
I think if your way of living harms a lot of people, even if you're not directly involved in that, just like you see here, the land in your country you live in belongs to people since centuries. It's quite hard for other people just to come in and get some land and everything to be equal in the society, because you have
someone has the eternal challenge
less than other people. And
sorry about that. Just telling him we are like a book for you.
I think it's very important.
Yes.
You can change something, you can do that. That's just a small part. When you know we destroy environment, we should save that because it's beautiful. And I think that's maybe the part of your test you do. Do you just take everything you can and without feel what happens, or you and say I've been tested.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
I wasn't very good in this test, but
you know the test is what you're saying is very we agree with it completely. A part of Allah's commandments is not individual. It's not just individual commandments. It's individual and societal. From what sense? When Allah commands something and He says you don't do, that's bad for you also bad for your society. For instance, Islam says don't drink. No drinking is allowed, right? Not any amount of drinking, right? Today we know any amount of alcohol, according to the Daily Mail, which is according to scientific research, any amount of alcohol gives you harm. Right? It's harmful for your body. So first, it is absolutely harmful for you. It also gives you cancer. I'm sure you're aware of these things, right? So it's harmful for you. It's also harmful for your society. In the UK, for example, the Metropolitan Police, 2000. Of course, 100%. Yeah, 100%. So it's harmful for you. Yeah, 100%. So it's harmful for your society and harmful for you. Therefore, Allah prohibits it. Allah will not say, what's your name? Mustafa can drink, but the rest cannot drink. Why? Because Allah has to set an objective law for everyone, right? Because someone can say, I'm a responsible drinker, man, I know what I'm doing. Every alcoholic starts like that. No alcoholic says in the beginning, I'm an alcoholic. He says, I'm a responsible drinker. Then he gets too much into it. Exactly, yeah. So when
very subjective.
So when 100%, I agree with you. It's a good point.
It's very subjective.
It's a good point. So what we're saying is this, right? We're saying that how do we know what is the bad things? This is the point I'm trying to make, right?
Yeah,
we know.
You never know.
That's what I'm trying to say. We know. I'm trying to say we know. Can I tell you this? I'll tell you if you agree or disagree.
Nobody can tell you. It's nowhere written, really.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? Tell me you agree or disagree. First, I want to mention a very important thing, right? I've been doing da'wah for a while. I've been doing this engagement with non-Muslims or people who don't believe in Islam for a long time, for a while, yeah? And I've seen one thing about the Quran, scripture, right? Which, my advice, I'll give you a copy if you haven't to read it, yeah?
5:30.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
I'll
I'll give you 1 minute. Yeah, no problem. Last minute, then let's make it useful, yeah? Okay. Something I've realized about the Quran. One of the proofs for me why the Quran is from the Creator. Allah says in the Quran, أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ. Does He not know the people who created? He created. So Allah is basically saying, I know who I created. Right? I have seen the psychology of people who don't believe in God that Allah describes in the Quran in reality. I'll give you an example. You talk to me about the book and people used to believe things, now we believe different things. That's what the Quran says. When you say to someone, come to Allah and His Messenger, they say, these are ancient fairy tales. Ancient fairy tales, man. These are people who used to believe that. We don't believe in these things. Islam is correlating with today's science. If you study the Islamic view or the Quranic view on science, majority of it is correlating with science. But it cannot absolutely correlate with science because it's ever changing, right? But Islam is not, you don't have this Jurassic changes from something completely wrong to something completely right. Like the Quran doesn't say something which is absolutely wrong, like the sun is not a star, for example, or the sun doesn't exist, then you realize the sun exists, right? So the Quran is clear. It's not yeah.
I've read the Quran.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
twice.
Oh, really?
I read the Bible
Okay.
twice.
Okay. So when you read the Quran, my point is this, right? Coming back to what I was saying, because we want to finish, I know you need to go. I was telling you there is objective evidences. I was giving you just one type, right? There's objective evidence to prove that Islam is the truth. Once you prove Islam, when I say the truth, I mean it's revelation from God. So Prophet Muhammad was just a human being with no worship, right? If it was revelation from God to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, then we know for sure it's coming from that higher entity that created the universe. Creating the universe by necessity requires power, requires intelligence, requires independence. It requires it by necessity. Because by necessity you require plastic, you require certain things to make the shoes, right? To make the universe, you also need requirements. For example, power. In order for you to create these galaxies, these stars, you need intelligence to set the laws out there. You need to not be restricted by time and space because time and space continuous started with the Big Bang. You need to be independent in the universe. So these things are a must. And it's not things that we are imposing because we believe in God. They're a reality. Just like it's a reality that you need an intelligent human being to make this, right? You need something intelligent and powerful to create the universe. So if there is an intelligent creator of the universe, and there is evidences objective that a prophet got revelation from that entity, then it becomes binding. Why? Because then what it says is true, absolutely true by default, right? So we have to abide by it because if there is consequences, it will happen. And if there is reward, it will happen, right? So that's our view as Muslims. Let's first examine the claim. Is it from God? If it's from God, we follow it. if we have objective evidence. If it's not from God, we don't have to follow it. Right? Simple as that. We're not saying to anyone, you have to become Muslim. Did I ever say that? No. What we're saying is, look at the evidence. They're objective, they're convincing. Anyone who's open-minded and sincere like you, I believe you're very sincere, I believe you're open-minded. If the evidence you see that is objective, as I was describing it when you said very interesting, I can give you 27 predictions. Yeah, I just give you one or two. So there is a lot of... Yeah, I know. So can I give you just a video before you go? Can I put the video on YouTube on your phone? A video. I want to show you a video with predictions, because you don't have time for me to tell you the prediction. So you just watch it. It will give you the references, and it will give you some of the predictions, right? Watch it, and then you come to your conclusion. But when you read the Quran, that's my advice, right? Quran, Allah says He does not reveal the Quran for us to read it. He revealed the Quran for us specifically, obviously to read it. We read it, but to ponder on it, reflect. Meaning what? I read the verse and I say, what is God? Understand. Okay, yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent.
I hope so.
Excellent. That's excellent. I can see that you do. So, just take my point, which is, watch these evidences that we're giving you. If they are true, as we're saying they are, right? Then we follow where we find the truth, we follow it, right? Whether it was in Islam, I would. Whether in Christianity, I would. In Judaism, I would. It's not. Quran says, do not just follow what you're born with. In chapter 5, verse 104, it says, do not just. What if your forefathers did not know? What if they were not guided? Don't just say, I'm born in this religion, therefore I follow it. That's why we study Christianity, we study Judaism, we study other religions as well. We know what they believe, because we're looking for the truth. We have to be objective and open-minded and approach to the truth. But once we reach the truth becomes binding on us. Because then this is our purpose. Then this is really what's objective, right and wrong, because it's coming from an objective source, right? It's coming from an all-wise, all-knowledgeable source. So I don't want to keep it for a long time. I'll just give you the videos. And... Sorry. It has the German, yeah? I'm saying it has the keyboard is German, yeah.
Bear in mind that God is also transcendent.
I do speak, yeah.
Which means that God is not, for example, formed by atoms. He created atoms. He created space. So when somebody asks me, for example, where is God, that is actually is wrong, linguistically speaking, because the universe is space, time, and matter. As you, I'm sure, scientifically can.
We do believe Allah is above His creation, because being above your creation is an attribute of perfection, right? Someone being above is perfect than a being who's below, right? If I'm above someone, whether in status is Allah, not a human being, yeah.
It depends on how imperfect the creation is.
Yeah, 100%. So this is the video, right? It's in your phone. Whenever you have time, that's what it will give you references and it will give you the predictions. If they make sense, if you find them objective, and we're here, yeah. Any Sunday, come by, ask for us.
We go back to our home country. What's the name of the video? 1 week.
It's a video on a channel called Many Prophets One Message. The channel is called Many Prophets One Message. Yeah.
We have to go.
Yeah, 100%.
Very nice to meet you.
Do you have any material? Okay, no problem.
You're a good speaker.
I am not. I'm just a human being. That's it. I'm not a good speaker. I would say Dankeschön, but I'm not. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for your time. It was a pleasure talking to both of you. Do you want my number? If you have any questions, if you're not coming back, do you want my number?
I will never.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, no problem. No text. Text. Would you text?
I will never.
Okay, that's okay. No problem.
Really. I'm not texting a lot with my friends or family. I know that for sure.
I'm just happy you allowed us to have this interaction. That's enough for me. And I hope we didn't say anything offensive. I apologize if we did. If we said anything offensive.
I hope so too.
No, you were completely. There's nothing.
I try to be a nice guy.
We try as well. We try. Pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you guys for